Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you again. I haven't been on the Zoom session for a long time, I think since last year. But anyway, here I am. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Welcome to our analysis. And yeah, I'm going to take you through a few analyses that I'm looking at. What we normally do on our technical analysis, for those who are new, is just review the markets, not to give you people signals or anything, because we don't do that here, but basically just to give you an insight of how I analyze the market, how we look at the market, and what I expect in the market. So I'm not like advising you to take a trade here and there, just showing you how I break down. And part of the goal with that is to be able, maybe or hopefully, along the way, you'll be able to learn and understand how to trade the markets on your own without me being there actually. So far the markets have been good. Markets have been trending quite well. Been waiting for a few setups to come my way. Was waiting for a few trades. Didn't really get to my targets, but they went in the other direction quite well, which I can't complain. Part of the rules or part of the nature of the markets that we normally say is that the market is an arena full of trading opportunities. So I won't chase trades when they come and go. I'm patient enough to wait for that good, clean setup to come my way. So I'll show you a few of those ones what I've been looking at for the past 2 weeks or since the month started this year, and what I'm expecting to happen in the next few weeks. Apart from that, just a few touch on a few things, maybe like, let's say, for example, part of what is looming in the economy, what we're looking at is crazy inflation. We're seeing inflation in America at all-time highs, 6.5, 6.8%, which is crazy. Those are levels that have never been reached before in history. Apart from that, we're seeing lows, very low, what we call ZAP. Stands for ZAP, spelled ZIRP, basically means zero interest rates policy, which has been adopted in many countries, but we're seeing sort of currencies starting to tighten up. We're seeing economies starting to increase their interest rates. Ever since Corona, when Corona hit, most economies took the interest rates low so that borrowing can be cheaper and many people can borrow money and help kickstart or finance the economy back to its glory. But what we're seeing right now is that we're starting to tighten. A lot of money has been pumped into the economy. So there's a lot of money chasing the same number of goods that have always been there, even maybe less number of goods, because productions in many countries went less. And that's why we had that dollar weakness. And now they're sort of trying to control that. And that's why we saw those inflations. So that's why you're seeing crazy prices in oil, crazy prices in goods. If you're here in Kenya, you're seeing the Kenya shilling has really lost against the dollar. So I think now we're trading at what, $1 to 1.15. So all these economy things, it's the puzzle. It's the whole economy. You're trying to understand how is everything fitting into place and how can I participate in that. As a result, we're seeing what is happening with the cryptocurrencies, which came up, and now sort of people are really jumping into that space, cryptos, NFTs, metaverse, and all that. So those are the good things with finance. If you're in finance, you can participate in all these things, and that's the fun part. And that's what I like saying, especially when I'm teaching my class. I like this industry because I can participate in any industry. If someone wants to do fashion, design, hotel, whatever, start an airplane, whatever. Any person who does any of those things needs one thing, and that is finance. And you need to go for the finance people, and that is people like you and me. Okay. So with that said, I was just waiting for people to come into the waiting room. I think it was just a nice catch up, and I'm happy to see all of you. So I'll share my screen and show you the analysis that I'm looking at, more or less. So
Forex trading is a new language in town. If you are into Forex trading, keep listening. Learn the tips of risk management, psychology, and trading strategies on The Trader Show. Subscribe to The Trader Show on YouTube and Spotify. Brought to you by Pepperstone, the broker with the lowest spreads.
So one sec. I hope you can all see my screen. There we go. So I hope you can all see my screen. So part of what I normally do every week or mostly every day, I just come and see what are the economic data that is coming out in that week, that day, or whatever. Okay, so I like to do that all the time. So this is Forex Factory. So nothing much this week, nothing much. I think today, Wednesday, we just have Bank of England, GBP, the bank governor Bailey speaking. Okay, that's later on. Actually, did that happen? Is my timing right? But anyway, that's what we have mostly for today. Okay, I always use two sites. So I use Trading Economics and Forex Factory, because sometimes you might see Forex Factory is not giving you in-depth of what is actually going to happen. You can find it in Trading Economics. Okay. So anyway, apart from that, let's go into my charts. Let's look at a few things. What have I been looking at? So for the better part of last year, we've had a lot of dollar strength. Okay. So this is Aussie dollar. If you follow my analysis, if you follow my trades, you know I'm heavily trading on this one. Okay. Part of the reason why I like Aussie dollar is because it's not as crazy volatile as things like gold, oil, or Dow Jones or GJ. It's less volatile than those ones. So it quite moves with not much crazy volatility. Okay. And I sort of like that because part of my personality is accompanying with that. It goes well with that, okay? Because I'm quite patient. I can wait for a trade. I can take a trade and stay in a trade for 1 month. Some people can't even take a trade more than 1 day. I think I've trained myself enough to do that. When you're trading Aussie dollar, you need to do that. Be able to take a good big size, okay? And be patient for it to pan out. So ever since we topped last year, I think this was February last year. So for the past 1 year, I was saying we've been having dollar strength against the US dollar strength against the Australian dollar. So lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And you can see the patterns that have been forming quite good. Impulse correction in the form of a flag. And sort of it's the same thing I was anticipating. So the main and last trade I took was here. If you remember well, last year, I think this was last year, October, and I think I held this trade for about a month. And you can see market kept falling until my targets were hit, okay? So that's the last trade I had. So this year I was looking for this trade, very patient on this one. We've had this impulse, still expecting to see if market can move to the downside. So this is the daily chart. If I go to the forward chart to look at this pattern much more clearly, I was waiting for market. So this is what we got, okay? So you can see this impulsive move, correction over here in the form of an ABC. I was waiting for that target to be hit quite over here. Didn't really get that touch, but if you look at the daily chart, market closed as a shooting star, okay, which was a very important information. So sometimes, as we keep saying, the markets are dynamic. Follow what the market is doing. Market didn't get to that point exactly and started falling down, and that's what we're getting on the 4-hour chart. Market started falling down. So I have this counter trend line, okay, more or less a counter boundary, which if market breaks, then I expect this market to come back to the 0.710 and even lower than that to continue with the long-term trend of market forming lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, okay? If not, if maybe this is like a channel-like formation that market is following, okay, I'll be expecting maybe another bounce over here if market doesn't break off it, and maybe to move higher again, maybe to this point. And if it comes to this point, then that would be much better. Then we can get that short position and short it to the downside. So long term, I'm still looking for dollar strength, okay? Long term. Maybe short term, we might get some dollar weakness because the dollar has been rising for some time against the dollar, but that's what I'll be waiting for, okay? So that's what I'm watching on Aussie dollar. No trade on that one yet. I'm expecting market. If you can come higher, then I look for a trade. If it breaks lower, then that trade was not mine, and I'll sit down and wait for a new opportunity to come. Coming to gold, gold has been quite a market, okay? Quite consolidating for quite a bit, okay? So as a part of the way I approach the markets, I do not use any indicator or such stuff. Purely market price, okay? Price action, that's mainly what I use. And that's what we're seeing over here happening, okay? And that's what we're seeing over here happening, okay? So a lot of sideways movement market has been within. Ever since we got, mainly if you look at the big picture, okay? This is the daily chart. If you look at the big picture, ever since we topped at 2050, market has been dropping. We got support at the 1675 more or less level over here, okay? That's where market has been. And ever since, market has just been sideways movement. If you're a short-term trader, it depends. If you're a short-term trader, it looks like market has been trending because you're getting this impulse move to the downside. But if you're a really long-term trader, market hasn't been really moving. And if I zoom in, if you look a bit closer, okay, what you're getting to see over here, what are we saying? You're seeing this sideways movement. We sort of had the 1830, okay? A very strong resistance level. You can see market has been resisting ever since this resistance, okay? A break to the downside, came and resisted again at the 1830 level, and that's where market sort of came and resisted. I think this was last week or earlier on this, last week, resisted again, and market has been here. On the downside, I've been looking at this trend line, okay? You're seeing this bounce of this spike level, this bounce over here, this bounce over here. So I'm paying attention to this. Normally what happens when market is sort of entering into such a consolidation, it comes contracting, okay? So contracting around here. So very soon, expect a strong breakout. And with experience, how we've been watching the market, when gold breaks out of a key level or a resistance level, normally very strong momentum coming. Sometimes it acts as a failed breakout, okay, which spikes many people. Sort of example like here, you're seeing here, market spiked to the downside, sort of faking people to enter shorts and quickly came back up, okay? And ever since, market hasn't come back below. Or sometimes here, a breakout to the upside and quickly breaks back in. But sometimes you get a strong breakout and market really rallies, okay? So that's what we'll be waiting to see. How will we break out and what is the pattern that's going to form moving forward? So if I go to the forward chart, nothing much on this one just yet, but I'm observing the patterns that the market is forming, just looking at, okay, can we get any movement to the upside? Sort of like what we're seeing on Aussie dollar, okay? So I sort of have this trend line also. You can see this bounce. Can we get another bounce over here that can propel the market to break the 1830 level, okay, and push it further up? So I think that's what I'll be paying attention to this coming week. Or will we get a break to the downside? One of the two, okay? That's what I'm paying attention to. So it's almost like the Aussie dollar that I'm looking at. Apart from that, USD CAD, market has been falling. I did an article on this one. If you go to our website, I did a good analysis on this one last week. Been breaking it down for the past 2 weeks, and I was expecting nothing much on the daily. I wasn't expecting much on the daily. If you look at the daily, long-term market has been falling lower, just looking at different patterns that have been forming. Remember, I said I don't use any indicator, so I rely mostly on my pattern recognition skills, and that's what I'm looking at over here. So you can see this first touch, second touch, and third touch. So the question is, what will happen over here? Will you get a breakout or will you get a bounce for market to move higher? If I go to the forward chart, what you're looking at, an analysis I did last week, it was very good, quite simple. I was talking about market. I think that time market was still around here. I was actually waiting for a short level. If you know how I trade, I was waiting for a short level at the 1835 level. Let me show you. So I was waiting for a short level here. So I was waiting, this was back then. I was waiting for this sort of like a head and shoulder formation. So you're seeing this like left shoulder, market came and formed a head over here, came down, and then sort of I was waiting for market to come to that level. Okay, the 1.283 level. Market, same thing, like what happened on Aussie dollar. Market didn't get right there, actually, okay? Formed a shooting star over here. And as I said, very important as markets, very important signal. Markets are not static, they're dynamic. You follow what the market is saying. And ever since that, market has been dropping. And the way market came with momentum towards this support level, you're seeing the support that pushed market to new highs, came and acted as a support again, acted as a support. I did an analysis on this one on the site, an article saying I was expecting this level to be broken. And why did I expect that to be broken? It's because of the momentum the market was coming with to the downside. If market came with slowing down momentum, for example, you're seeing over here, market was coming from new highs, high highs, higher lows. But once we're coming to this resistance level, market sort of lost momentum, okay? And when we came down a second time, if you look at the second time, how did you approach that level? Market came with momentum and strongly broke it, okay? So same thing I was talking about here. When market was dropping, we're coming with a lot of momentum. So expected this level to be broken, and now that market is below 1.2620, now the question is, will we remain below or will we get a bounce of this trend line that is more visible on the daily chart? Okay, will we get a bounce of that and move higher? That is a question that all of you should have moving forward for the next few weeks. Okay, so that's what I'll be watching. Apart from that, what do I have on US 30? US 30, for those who do not know, this is Dow Jones. Okay, Dow Jones, I was expecting a drop. I was expecting this drop. If you look long term, ever since Corona, market has been having higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Okay, and then what we came and formed here was sort of forming an expanding triangle, expanding diagonal triangle. It's a complex not really complex, but an advanced way of analyzing the market. So what are we looking at? You can see we're getting a bounce of here, resistance here, and a top here. Now this top was beautifully in line with these high highs, high lows, high highs, sort of like an ending flag formation, or an ending channel, not a flag. It's more or less an ending channel formation. If you look at the 4-hour, you can see it much more clearly. Here you go. It was an impeccable level, okay? Just where market was trying to form new highs for the year, but we got a strong resistance below the 36,600 level, and market dropped below. And ever since yesterday, we saw a 1.5% drop, easily seen on the 1-day chart. So for those who trade this one-day drop yesterday, we saw that strong drop yesterday, and market today is having that follow through, and it's not yet even New York time, okay? So we'll pay attention to how that pans out. So far, as you can see, I have not had any trade, no trade so far, being patiently waiting. I think a trade that would have been best for most people to have, or maybe using my approach, was Euro USD, okay? So this is Euro USD. Looking at Euro USD, same thing, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then we form this lower high, okay? I remember I was having a student last week, and she took a short trade on this one at this top. It was a very impeccable trade, meaning it was really many things ticked the box, okay? It was one, a third trend line bounce. We're seeing this resistance, okay? And we sort of had this ABC flag formation, okay? So if I draw it for you, so remember, I don't trade this pair. I sort of disciplined enough to trade this, not to trade pairs that I do not trade. So the student I had, she trades this pair, and I told her this was a good trade. I think she took it at this top. It was on Friday, last week on Friday, and you can see Friday was around this candlestick over here. It was around here last week. So it's a good short trade targeting lower lows, market to continue to the lower side and have a good trend to the downside. If you look at the 4-hour chart, it was much more visible over here. Look at that. Very simple analysis, and that trade panned out quite well for market to continue to the downside. So that's what I'm watching, okay? That's what I'm watching on this one. I don't trade much pairs. I only have 4 pairs that I trade. I just wanted to do an analysis for you on Euro USD, okay? But as soon as I've just done, I take it out. I just focus on my 4 pairs, okay? That is Aussie dollar, gold, USD CAD, and USD. I stick to those 4 because I have 2 very volatile pairs, which is USD and gold, and I have 2 less non-volatile pairs, which is Aussie dollar and USD CAD, okay? So those are the trades that I'm looking at. Those are the pairs I'm looking at, and no significant trade just yet, okay? So that's it, man. Just keeping it short and simple, as I said. I'm not here to give any signals, just to show you how to analyze the pairs using my approach, which is quite simple for me, that is. So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything much from then. I'll be seeing you guys on Friday on the Friday analysis, and I hope you enjoyed that analysis. So all the best, and as we keep saying, may the peeps be with you. So have a good day and a wonderful week, guys. Peace.